that academic thing. And yeah, I mean, the academic world just seems to it's gone insane. Am I wrong?
Absolutely right. And the thing is, and I've seen this for a long time and spoken out against it for a long time, I'm a First Amendment absolutist. I believe anything short of that is sophistry, that this group gets this level, and and then we come back to comfort and safety and psychic damage and this and that, and you can't criticize this group because of the psychic damage you're inflicting and this and that. Once you go down that road, you're in sophistry lane, and I don't want to play that game. And so it's just everyone, my friends who are still in academia, walk on eggshells, and they have to watch out for the cultural commissars, because then you have this kind of star chamber courts where the student goes to one of the many deans and says he looked at me in a way that made me uncomfortable. And my response was, you were born uncomfortable. I can't help you with that. And your level of comfort and my level of comfort aren't the same. So then the professor is accused without a hearing, without knowing who his accuser is. So there's no due process. I mean, one of the cases my foundation looked into was an anatomy professor named Michael Shively. He had taught for 30 years at Utah Valley University. The president of the university's nephew kind of instigated a crusade against him because his classes were too hard. He didn't put things up on the right, blackboard, sort of computer thing, and they couldn't really get him on anything. And again, he didn't know who he was accused by. He didn't know what he was accused of. And after about 6 months, he started losing his mind, and he blew his brains out. And then the family sued the university. It came out that it was, that the president of the university intervened on behalf of her nephew. It went all the way to the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals. Now their attorney is going for a writ of cert to try to get the Supreme Court to take it up. But these are increasingly common situations where you are accused of something and you don't get to defend yourself. You don't know who your accuser is. And this is a real violation of due process. And I had a situation where I had a female student come and say, oh, well, I've been missing the classes or something because I was sexually assaulted. I said, okay, that's very serious. I said, I know the U.S. attorney, and let's do it. If you got to think this through. If you want to, go really do this, you go to the U.S. attorney. You don't go, or with the DA in town, you don't go to some academic bureaucrat that will pollute the case if you want to go after this guy. Oh, well, I'm not sure. I said, well, you think about it. Let's talk about it. Tomorrow, I go to the head of my department. I say, hey, this happened. I told her she needs to go to the authorities if she's serious about it. She said, no. She has to go to the Title IX group and which is an in-house university judiciary. And I said, no, I don't agree, and I'm not going to do that. And I'm on 1 semester contract, so what do you got on me? And I liked my department head, and I didn't, want to make trouble for her. But then I met with a student the next day. I said, okay, come on, let's get into the brass tacks of this, because if you do go down this road of litigation and all that, you're going to get your past pulled out. It's going to be serious. And I said, was there alcohol involved? Yeah. Okay. And so anyway, it turns out she drank too much, passed out on a couch at a friend's, woke up, and there was one of the roommates had come in and was standing over her. And that could have ended this guy's career. It could have been incredibly problematic, and he wouldn't have known what he was accused of, by who, or
that was
what.
The extent of what had happened.
That was what had happened. And so, again, these things need to be heard out. You can't just take, every man is guilty, every woman is always right. life is more complex than that. I mean, I saw professors that married students that are still married. So I don't have a kind of childlike view of life. I treated my students as adults, and I talked to them like adults, and I talked to them about their futures. And, I would say every student would have to come and meet me in my office, and people would say, "Oh, don't ever close your door with a female student." So why? I'm married. I'm not like, your students are like your kids. And I would say, what's your major? What's your major? What do you want to do? What do your parents want you to do? And how much student debt do you have? Almost every one of those kids would say, no one's ever asked me that in my career. Thank you so much. No one, they've tried to sell them into a new program. Oh, we got this new graduate certificate. And I was like, a what? A certificate? I said, is that a master's? No, it's a certificate. I said, that's a fucking scam. And I said, are they paying for you to get this certificate? Oh, no, I got to pay. I said, well, is the professor that's telling you to do it in charge of this certificate program? Hey, how'd you know? I was like, man, you're getting hustled. And so it's a business now. And because the universities are competing with each other, to get students, they're spending huge amounts of money on gyms and vegan food bars and, just really ancillary stuff.
Yeah. When I look at it, if you're going to learn something of value, if you're going to be actually educated, great. Knowledge is power. And if you can go to some event or some school or some university, and you're going to learn something, you're going to walk out of there and say, oh, I know how to do this thing now. More power to you. Great. But yeah, if you're in there and you're spending money on something that has no value other than the paper that it's printed on, then it's kind of worthless. And I don't know that, I think that a lot of times the way what people are taught isn't really a usable skill. And
right.
Especially the way it's taught isn't really a usable skill. I mean, this happens with leadership. There's universities that offer some kind of leadership training, but it's not actually leadership training. They don't learn any leadership from it. They learn some weird abstract theory about leadership, but they don't learn how to lead. It's like if you went to college to play guitar, and they never gave you a guitar to play. You wouldn't know how to play when you got done. You'd be able to talk about it a little bit, but you wouldn't be able to do it. And I see a lot of programs that are set up like that, where they're teaching you a lot about the guitar, and you learn some theory about the guitar, and you know what a guitar looks like, but you don't know how to play that guitar. And so basically what you learned has almost no value. So, for leadership, for me, the reason I know this is because I teach leadership, and we teach leadership to people that have gone through big programs. And they'll tell us like, oh, I learned more in the 3 days I just spent with your company about leadership, infinitely more. So it's not even close to what I learned in my 2-year, master's degree or my MBA. They just they're not doing it in the same way. So, and I think that's kind of become the standard.
Sure.
The standard is, oh, well, we can teach you about the guitar, and we can teach you about the music theory, and they can teach you about a bunch of different guitars. We're going to have a bunch of different guitarists come and talk to you. We're going to have the best. We're going to have Eric Clapton come and talk to you, and Tony Iommi. It's going to be great. And that is cool. Sounds cool, right? But you still don't know how to